Okay. Welcome to the Town of Austining special meeting and work session today, June 6th, 2023. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Meyer,
Present.
Councilmember Manicchio.
Here.
Councilmember Weiss,
Here.
Supervisor Feldman.
Present.
Okay, Supervisor and Town Board announcements.
I hope everybody's enjoying our smoky evening due to the wildfires apparently in Quebec, Canada, New Zealand, and possibly even South Jersey. So we're really experiencing a California moment. And remember to check in on those people who have breathing difficulties and make sure they're doing okay, please. Anyway, save the date for the 41st annual Austining Village Fair. Join us on Saturday, June 10th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a day filled with entertainment, exhibitors, artisans, culinary delights, musicians, and a kids zone. With over 5,000 attendees expected, this year's fair promises to be unforgettable. Admission is free. So gather your family and friends and come celebrate the vibrant spirit of our community at the 41st Austining Village Fair. Save the date for the Austining Children's Center first farm to table experience on June 10th at 6 p.m. Enjoy a delightful evening with Chef Dante Gianni at Fable Farm, located at 1311 Kitchewan Road, Austining. It's a fundraiser honoring Irwin Cavey, Marilyn Zetsky Pinsker, and Andrew Ziegler. Tonight at the Austining Public Library, the Carolyn Curvin, our town historian, will be presenting an Austining history series. Please register beforehand. Well, guess you can't do that. I'm sure they'll still let you in. Take place starting now. Tomorrow, join inspiring conversation with Kenji Ima, a World War II camp survivor. On Wednesday, June 7th from 7 to 8 p.m. Hear his remarkable story of resilience and hope, limited seating, free admission at the Hudson Valley Books for Humanity. Also, join them for a monthly poetry spoken word open mic at Hudson Valley Books for Humanity on Friday, June 9th. Share poetry and spoken word projects in a supportive and inclusive environment. All ages welcome at 7:30 p.m. Join us for an Juneteenth story as Village historian Joyce Sherrock Cole dives into the struggles of a family grappling with the aftermath of emancipation and the lasting effects of slavery. Performed by the Negro Ensemble of Westchester and Friends, this powerful reenactment, readings, and music will bring the life back to the experience and tell the history of Juneteenth. Don't miss this impactful event. It's Thursday, June 15th at 7 p.m. in the Birdhouse Theater. All are welcome to attend. And finally, join the Austining Microfund on the summer solstice, June 21st, 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. at 300 Riverside Drive, Sleepy Hollow, honoring Deborah Jacoby and Barry Jaffes. It's entitled Empowering Youth for Financial Stability, and they're honoring the two high school teachers. And join us on the enchanting occasion of the summer solstice as they pay tribute to them. All right. Anybody have any other announcements? Okay, good, moving on.
Okay, is there any public comments on any of the agenda items? If you are online, you can also please feel free to click the raise your hand feature on Zoom and we could also bring you in then. Nope, okay. Temporary appointment, town clerk's office, intermediate clerk. Full-time, be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the town supervisor, the town board hereby appoints Jennifer Criollo to a full-time temporary position in the title of intermediate clerk effective June 12, 2023, for a period of 90 calendar days or until the return of the deputy clerk, whichever shall occur first, at an hourly rate of $16 per hour. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby further approves the payment of Ms. Criollo of a weekly stipend of $140 per week, less appropriate tax withholding and other applicable payroll taxes, in addition to her hourly pay for as long as she's assigned on a full-time temporary basis as intermediate clerk. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Personnel appointment seasonal laborer, resolved that the town board of the town of Austining appoints Xavier Hernandez Austining to the seasonal position of laborer in the town parks department at an hourly rate of $15 effective June 6, 2023. My apologies. It's supposed to be amended. It's highway.
So moved.
And a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
As amended?
Resignation town court attendant, resolved that the town board of the town of Austining accepts the resignation of Raquel Tolliver Millwood from the position of court attendant in the town of Austining Justice Court effective May 15, 2023. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
With regret.
Resignation assessor's office temporary assessment clerk, resolved that the town board of the town of Austining accepts the resignation of Jackie McCannon Mayo Pack from the position of temporary assessment clerk in the assessor's office effective June 1st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It would be said, but the next one covers it. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Appointment assessor's office part-time assessment clerk non-competitive, resolved that the town board of the town of Austining appoints Jackie McKinnon Mayo Pack to the part-time position of assessment clerk non-competitive in the assessor's office, 17.5 hours per week, $38.92 per hour effective June 1st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Personnel assessor's appointment, resolved that the town board of the town of Austining hereby appoints Sierra Champagne North White Plains to the position of assessment clerk in the assessor's office effective June 26, 2023, at an annual salary of $62,545. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution modifying town board schedule, whereas at its annual organizational meeting, the town board established by resolution its meeting schedule for the year, with its work sessions generally held on the first and third Tuesdays of the month, and its legislative sessions generally held on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, subject to certain modifications. And whereas it has come to the town board's attention that there were certain conflicts with its meeting schedule that the board wishes to address. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby modifies its meeting schedule as follows. The town hall meeting schedule for June 20th, 2023 is canceled. A special work session will be held on June 13th, 2023 in its place. The legislative session scheduled for June 26, 2023 will be held on Tuesday, June 27, 2023 at 7:30 PM. Be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to notice said meetings as required by law. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contract Planning Technologies, resolved that the town board of the town of Austining authorizes the supervisor to sign an agreement with Planet Technologies, 9801 Washingtonian Boulevard, Suite 360, Gatesburg, Maryland 20878, from Microsoft Intune, a mobile device management software that extends security to town-owned mobile phones and iPads. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials. Be it resolved that the town of Austining 342 hereby establishes the following standard workdays for these titles and will report the officials to the New York State and local retirement based on their record of activities for Angela Manicchio and Elizabeth Feldman. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution tax surcharge settlement, Barclay Racket and Fitness Club Associates. Be it resolved that at the recommendation of the town assessor and the town special counsel, and finding it to be in the best interest of the town board approves the settlement of a tax surcharge proceedings pending as Barclay Racket and Fitness Club Associates versus the assessor of the town of Austining et al. Westchester County Supreme Court numbers 6474/16, 66128/17, 6606/6418, 65585-19, 61491-20, 63587-21, and 65921/22 for the property located at 584 North State Road, section 90.15, block 2, lot 1, as set forth in the proposed consent judgment, with a refund issued by the town in the amount of $119,739.15. And be it further resolved, the town supervisor, town assessor, town receiver of taxes, town controller, town tax treasurer, attorney, and other relevant staff are authorized to take the necessary and appropriate actions to execute, file, process, and make payment of the aforementioned settlement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence to be received and filed, Town Planning Board minutes, April 19, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Monthly reports, GE Helicopter.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody, visitor recognition that would like to have the opportunity to address the board? Okay, seeing no one, can I have a motion to adjourn to the work session?
So moved.
And a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I think, is Paul here? There's Paul. Hi, Paul. Okay, I know it's your wife's birthday, so we'll get you out of here as soon as possible. But it's very nice to see your face. And why don't you walk us through all the wonderful things that have been going on?
Sure. Thank you, Supervisor.
I know somebody in the audience is happy about some of your activities.
Okay. Thank you, Supervisor. Good evening, Town Board. Andy couldn't be with us this evening, so he texted me some notes and I'll paraphrase from those. And that's where I'll start. He wanted to let the Town Board know that the Cedar Lane Ice House slate roof was refurbished last month. It included the replacement of wood decking and installing ice and snow material, covering and replacement slate throughout the roofing system. It also included new gutters and downspouts. The town kitchen and the community center is moving right along. All of the demolition and construction of the structure is actually being completed by the village maintenance department. So we're doing that nice partnering project down there. And they also set up a temporary kitchen, so you can maintain the prep area for the senior nutrition program while that work is ongoing in the kitchen. That included temporary wiring, and we did some rough and plumbing as well. And the flooring is going to be installed next week. I believe that started this week, so he wrote this last week. The equipment vendor is scheduled for equipment installation in that kitchen when all of the rough-in work gets done the week of June 19th. If all goes well, they're shooting for an August completion. The main projects we did out on the road with the town highway superintendent, Pete Connolly, was the milling and paving of Tappan Terrace and Leewood Drive. It also included some pre-milling and paving drainage work and new concrete curb work along the Leewood Drive section of that area. There was some reoccurring groundwater that was making its way out into the road, and during the winter months that proved hazardous because it was freezing. So that condition should not exist anymore. So it's good that we took care of that before we did the paving. Some good foresight there by the highway superintendent. And I think that project came out very well. If you remember last time, I think I was in front of you, I explained that we're doing a section of that with that existed in Briarcliff Manor. We've since completed and have billed Briarcliff Manor for their share of the road that we ended up doing the restoration work. And that was a pretty seamless process. So thank you to the supervisor and town council for coordinating the legalese behind that effort. Some of the purchase orders that we created for that aforementioned work were under expended. As you know, our annual bid contracts and when, are unit priced, and when we create a purchase order, we estimate the units that will be needed to complete the project. So it came in a little less than we estimated. So with that money and some other monies that the superintendent had, we need to sit down with the supervisor's office and coordinate where we might want to expend that, if you in fact want to expend that work at all. I know we've already discussed with the supervisor's office some money to maybe possibly be used in concert with some of the FEMA money we're going to get for the area around the Boat and Canoe Club. And there's also a draft proposal that we solicited from a local engineering firm to help design some pedestrian improvements around the Ossining Boat and Canoe Club. So I guess after meeting with the supervisor's office this and next week, I look forward to bringing something forward to you all within the coming months down in that area. We also are meeting next week, I believe, Supervisor, with a consultant to discuss usage of the $30,000 grant we procured earlier this year for some stormwater inspection and mapping in that area and other areas of the town possibly, but that's all gonna follow the meeting with the consultant that we have coming in to see us for the GIS, those GIS services. Thank you.
Any questions? Projects? Okay, I know you have to tell me again tomorrow, but, no, I would just like to thank you for the great job. You know, the road came out beautifully. You guys did a really good job on the paving and the drainage. I know that I have Jackie Shaw here in the audience who's very happy about her neighborhood finally being completed, I'm sure. She hasn't actually said that, but she looks happy. And you know, the slate roof is, you know, was a long time coming, and getting that architecture, that done in a historically accurate way, and making it, you know, getting the slate done and finding old slate at a historical, you know, at one of those places where you can find the old aged slate pieces. So it matches very nicely. They did a beautiful job. We'll be starting the Cedar Lane roof shortly, as soon as we get through the paperwork with the state, which is really fun. And I just want to thank you for all that you do. And I think we're going to talk with the board. Might be the next work session about what paving projects, you know, with that little tiny bit of paving that we have available, we might want to take on, and where we think that would best be suited. And it may very well be that rough area down by the waterfront that got hurt in Hurricane Ida, using those funds. So, but I did want to understand first, if we're doing an adjustment to the walkway, would it behoove us to wait on the paving until we were done with that design?
I agree.
That's a
Good idea.
conversation. Anyway, that's another conversation. But anyway, thank you for all you do. Thank you for joining us on your wife's birthday. I hope you have a lovely dinner and treat her well, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
All right, moving on. Ossining Police Chief Kevin Sylvester. Come on down.
My wife's gonna kill me when she finds out he got to go first for her birthday. It's our anniversary.
Oh, all right. Well, everybody.
It's all good. We've all got something. Everybody's a human. No, it's good. We've got plans later on. It's okay. Good evening. Thank you for having me. So a little bit about what's going on in the police department. As you can see in the monthly reports, I caught up on a couple of those this morning. About 3,500 calls for service town-wide. That's town and village monthly. With the current software, there's not an ability to differentiate all of our blotters between town and village. We are in the process of joining a county-wide. It'll include, I believe, 17 jurisdictions sharing on a Westchester County supported records management system, which will hopefully give us the opportunity to differentiate all of those calls. So excited for better data in the months to come that hopefully will be rolled out by the end of the year, but we are actively working with them week over week on designing that system and getting that implemented in all those different jurisdictions. Bigger software stuff that's actually here right now. This quarter, we fully rolled out our Axon Officer Safety Plan. So as most of you know, Ossining was the first place in Westchester County, and I believe New York State, to fully deploy body-worn cameras. We've had them for probably 10 years or so now, long before most other jurisdictions. What we got this year was the full Officer Safety Plan. So now every single officer in our department has their own individual body-worn camera. Every single car, every single marked car, not our unmarked cars, but all of our marked cars have car cameras reinstalled. We had those years ago. We transitioned away for body worn cameras because there was an advantage to that. Both is better than one or the other. It also implements accountability software that requires supervisors to be reviewing videos on a regular basis to be showing for not only function of the equipment and making sure that people are using it properly, but also for behaviors at work. Next generation tasers that are shown to be more effective and less harmful to people when used, and virtual reality training, which is really amazing. So our department has 4 headsets where we can train people every single day in headquarters on things like use of force, but also really revolutionary that Axon created is empathy training. So some of the things they can go through are dealing with persons in crisis and persons with disability. And what Axon has designed is a bit of AI software where you then go back through the scenario and experience it as the person that interacted with you in those types of scenarios. So really revolutionary stuff. Nobody else is doing it that we're aware of. A bit expensive, but we're grateful for our financial support to have all these things. We may be the first one in the county that's fully deployed that and rolled that out as well. I know others are trying to get into these things. We rushed full speed ahead, and really great stuff. All of the best equipment with our department. To highlight all of the good things that come with that, this month we celebrated our department's police week and our department's award ceremony. Our probably most notable award given out this year is Officer De Silva, who saved a dog from an active burning building. He was recognized not only by us, but also by the SPCA for award from that organization. Lots of positive stuff with promotions over the last couple of months of Brendan Donahue from lieutenant to captain, Aaron Zimmerman from lieutenant to detective lieutenant, Andrew Majorana from sergeant to lieutenant, Jeff Chavez coming out of the detective division to become a patrol supervisor as a sergeant, and his brother Addison backfilling his spot in the detective division. So a little weird to go in and see the wrong Chavez sitting in that seat, but he's now the right Chavez in that seat. So we love that. In order to fill those spots, we've got to bring new people on board. So this past week we had Christian Mosqueda and Robert Krieger graduate from the police academy, Bobby Krieger being the honor graduate of his class, best overall. So very, very proud of that. In order to fill the rest of those spots, we're going to be doing a tremendous amount of hiring. So the big thing for the town council to know tonight is that historically we've struggled with the idea of a local list, which is really great, but we could only hire village residents. We have now exhausted the village list, and we've now gone on to the countywide general list. So the good thing is we'll have access to some town residents. We've seen some names on there that are familiar with addresses that we know. We're excited for those opportunities. There are still some restrictions according to civil service law. We have to hire by the top 3 in scores. And when those folks become available, we'll be going right to them, checking them out. But lots of hiring. I think we've got 7 openings right now, which is more than we've ever had before. But we are confident that we're going to be filling all of those by the end of the year. The access to the general list is really going to be something that changes the game for us. So at the same time, we're going back and canvassing the Spanish speaking list. We've created 2 more positions for Spanish speaking police officers. Oftentimes we can get cops off the general list that speak Spanish, but the Spanish speaking list ensures not only that the officer we hire, but that the people that replace them, should they retire, resign, or anything that happens, will also fill that same position, and they're dedicated Spanish speaking police officers. This summer, rolling out a full calendar of events. We're hoping to announce that in the next couple of days, but things you can look forward to. We have 2 or 3 newly minted child safety seat technicians in our department. So we'll be bringing back something we did pre-COVID and we haven't done since, child safety seat checks. Also with officers that speak Spanish. So we'll be reaching out to the Spanish speaking community for those. We do find that there's probably more of a misunderstanding of how to use them and the laws around them. So Jeff Chavez, through our Spanish language Facebook page, has been talking a lot about child safety seats there. We'll have an in-person come down, get it checked out. We have some seats that we'll be giving away for those that need them. More important to us than any ticket or any other thing is making sure that kids are safely buckled into their car seats, because we want everybody going home safe. We are fully expecting to bring back our ice cream truck takeover on the last day of school. I'm not sure I'm going to be there this year, but we're hoping to roll out the ice cream truck. We've got 2 block parties coming up on the calendar, movies in the park, cops and kids sports, and a bike day. Our 2 big priorities for the town that we've been discussing with you are the parks and St. Augustine's Fair coming up. So we're actively making plans for all those types of events coming up here to make sure that they're all covered. I know for the fireworks, we've already spoke with Westchester County, and we have the Sheriff's Emergency Force coming to augment our services. So we'll have extra staff on board for that. And I think that's it for me tonight. So I'll take any questions.
Thank you. That was a great, nice thing.
I'm going to go blame Paul's wife now for getting home late.
Good
night, everyone.
Okay, well, happy anniversary.
Good night, Chief.
Very popular day. Okay, and our last presentation, but never the least, my former co-counsel and head of IVCA, Jackie Shaw.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to be here. Nice to see everyone. And yes, the paving on Tappan Terrace is really beautiful. I'm very happy about the drainage because that was definitely an issue. So I'm excited to see what that looks like once it gets cold, after, a lovely summer, of course. Oh, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with IFCA, I'll do a quick overview.
Wait,
IFCA.
Introduce.
Oh, sorry. I'm Jackie Shaw. This is Louis Rucker. He's the Director of Finance.
Nice to meet
Sorry, Louis.
you. Sorry.
Okay, so a quick overview of IFCA. IFCA is an affordable housing nonprofit that was organized in 1968 by community members in Ossining who were responding to the upheaval of the 60s and the social movement that was going on. IFCA dabbled in a couple of things. They did some child programs. They had some input in the pool at the rec center, actually. They had some input in Open Door. So they were kind of dabbling in different things. In 1972, they bought their first property, a 3-family home, renovated that, made it an affordable housing building, and decided that affordable housing was where they could make the biggest impact, and IFCA became an affordable housing nonprofit. Since then, we've acquired 15 properties, 14 of them are in Ossining. We have 92 units of rental affordable housing. We also do transitional housing and a program with Westchester County DSS. We do up to 20 units of transitional housing, and that is in Peekskill. We have, again, 1 building in Tarrytown. Some of the other things that we do, we have a financial empowerment program. I'm going to do a shameless plug. Our next program is June 14th at 6:30. Louis will be facilitating. It's on budgeting and saving. So that's something that tenants have asked for. And so we always get feedback from our programs, and that's something they asked for. So that's a program we're having. And of course, we have the ever popular thrift shop that has now moved to 95 Croton Avenue, and it's been very, very popular. People love it. This jacket is from the thrift shop. So that's been a big boon for us because people, it's helped a lot of people. We've partnered with Galata House, and they go there when they need help for the people that they help. So it's been really great for the community. So now on to why we're actually here. So the town has an affordable housing law that specifies that within all residential developments of 10 or more units created by subdivision or site plan approval, no fewer than 10% of the total number of units shall be created as below market rate units. And all that means is that for developments in the town, there is a 10% set aside for affordable housing. And we do have someone that just did some affordable housing and development. And so IFCA has the experience and the expertise, and it does take quite a lot to manage an affordable housing program and to administer such a program. We've been doing that for the village for somewhere around 10 years. I don't remember the exact date in my head, but it's about 10 years. We are doing it. We're moving into doing it for other municipalities. We would love for the town of Ossining to be one of those. And again, we've been doing it for a really long time. We're very good at it. We're doing it with our own properties, the 92 units we have. And it's been going great. We have about 47 units with the Village of Ossining that we're managing. We are fully staffed. We're just actually hired some new folks. So we're raring to go. More about what we actually do as part of that, I'm going to turn it over to Louis.
Hello, everyone. As Jackie said, my name is Louis, and I'll just go over briefly on what we're offering. As Jackie explained, IFCA has been in affordable housing for years, and not just the properties that we own, but also advocating for the community. So seeing and having firsthand experience as an organization, really gives us an opportunity to present offerings. Some of the offerings that we include is the lottery process. So when developers come and need a lottery done, if they're developing these affordable units, who's going to manage it from beginning to end? IFCA can be there and really be a third party that organizes and develops a wait list, generates applications, just does a lot of marketing in the actual community that we're in. And we offer those services for the developers so that we can manage the affordable units from start to finish. We also have the opportunity, if a developer is in existence already, to manage the renewals annually. So as folks' incomes change throughout time, or people may leave their homes and find other homes, we can income verify new people, put them into the units and make sure that they're eligible for the units. And the spirit of the law impacts the people who it's been for. And we also can help with lease revisions and actually not a revision of lease, but making sure that there are proper language in leases so that people don't have a lease that's not fair. So looking at the leases and making sure the required items are in there are also a part of the process that we can do. And also a marketing plan and administrative plan for the affordable units. It's a little bit slightly different than a normal lease up. There are a lot of rules and regulations that are involved with it. And again, IFCA has been in compliance for one of our properties since the 1999 and onward. So historically, within our organization, we have a wealth of knowledge, and now we're continuing to learn too and stay up to date on all the laws, rules, and regulations of affordable housing because it changes often. So yes, I'll turn it back over to Jackie, or if you have any questions.
So I think I think we're 60% of AMI instead of 80%, and you would manage that accordingly.
So our buildings, some of our buildings are 30%, some of our buildings are 50%, some of our building is 60%,
Okay.
and the villages stuff is 80%. So we can work at any percentage.
All right, and you have the ability to work within those parameters.
Absolutely.
And those numbers are set by the county annually, so they're pretty readily available. There's only 5.
Oh, what the
different-
number is. okay.
Yeah, so it's
There's a chart.
yeah,
basically go through.
that's released. I think it's probably around April or May of every year. I think 2023 just came out recently. But so it's pretty easy. You just look at the chart and say, okay, this is 80%, this is 30% of 80%, and it's pretty much laid out there for you. Not to try to minimize
Oh,
what,
no.
Oh, no.
what
No.
I'll get to how strongly I feel about this, but later, but anyway.
Do you have any questions at all?
I think we hit all the
No,
points.
good.
All right, so did you want to talk about pricing so the board can hear that?
So pricing, yes, we do have marketing and we maintain wait lists throughout the year that we charge an annual fee of $600. And that includes, again, marketing, the reaching out to tenants in our website, having a presence on our website and our social media. We have a $1,000 fee for income qualifying new tenants, lease up process, and the annual lease renewals. So the process of making sure that folks are inside the homes and that they're income verified, that's the $1,000 fee. That also includes reaching out to various Section 8s and subsidy providers and making sure that the paperwork and everything is smooth and streamlined. And that also is included in our annual lease renewal price. So same price for lease up and lease renewal.
Okay, I thought I read it differently.
There isn't any age restrictions, right? It could be all ages. from-
It's basically whatever the law is for whatever, and there's no age restriction in the law.
Okay, so if I'm getting that right, it's $1,000 for an initial unit, and also for a renewal every year
Yes,
per unit.
per unit, yes.
But they may not come up every year. And
But I think there's a maintenance fee every year or to assure that are you doing the paperwork with them every year?
So, right, so there usually are annual leases. So leases are usually for 12 months, depending on the increase. So if there's, a larger than normal increase, that's usually a 24-month lease. But usually we keep rent increases, I would say at a 2% increase, something that's affordable and, as inflation affects landlords, and we're also landlords, so we understand that. It also has an impact on the household. So a slight increase in rent, if you think about it, an affordable unit, someone has an affordable wage, or we hope would have an affordable wage, a 5% increase on their monthly expenses, goes a longer way. So keeping it as a minimal increase where landlord has extra funds for inflation and it's affordable for the households. So yes, annual, annual lease renewals.
Okay, so if we have 10 units in the town that you're managing, it would be $10,000 a year.
Right,
Cost.
and then in
Plus
the,
600,
yes.
Plus 600 for
That
the
is for,
marketing
like,
and
the
wait
admin.
list.
just knowing me.
Yeah, that's, a lot of the administrative costs and presence on our website, social media and marketing. And if we did need to go and place ads in journals, that would be a direct cost also, where, we'd cover costs and, submit invoices. But the $600 fee does cover the administrative and the social and website, and, keeping our lights on the internet.
So
and
that's
things
just
like
a
that, too.
one-time for the one-time straight, so 600 plus
Yes.
whatever. Okay,
The code does provide for two-year leases, so I understand the intent of making sure that, someone's income doesn't skyrocket or something, and then they're taking an affordable unit away, but that's something we could
They would
also-
still be eligible for the unit as long as the lease was in effect.
Right,
So we wouldn't
so-
recertify, even if their income went up, we wouldn't recertify until the end of the lease, whether it was 1 year or 2.
Right, but just for the purposes of administrative costs, if it was a 2-year lease, obviously you're not paying that $1,000 per
Correct.
unit every year. So
Correct.
that's something for the board to keep in mind as well.
And also keep in mind that just because there's the next person on the list doesn't mean they're eligible. So we've got to go through the list, make sure that that person is eligible. If they're not eligible, we've already done the work. They get declined. There's a process for being declined. Then we've got to go to the next person on the list. So we might be going through several people, doing some of the work, at least the income verification and things like that, until we get to someone that's actually A, eligible, and B, is interested in the unit. So sometimes folks go into the unit, it's not for them, they don't like the location, it doesn't have enough closets, whatever the issue is, and then we have to go to the next person on the list. So we could be income verifying a bunch of people before we got to someone that actually wants it and is eligible.
okay.
Can I just make a comment from?
You have the floor.
Working with both the town board and the land use boards and having seen some of the recent developments that have come online, I've seen the challenges that they've faced trying to get these units rented. And the challenge on the town's end is that we don't really know exactly how hard the applicant is actually trying to get the units rented. So, and there are other resources available, but my understanding is that they're very costly and they're not as local. So they don't have the expertise and the experience in the Austining community. So I think there may be a way to also explore whether we could put some of the initial cost on the developer when those units are initially leased. I don't think we could do that in perpetuity, but it may take something because they're already renting it at a substantially reduced rate. But that's another thing we could kind of think about and brainstorm whether there's a way, because right now the practice is we make the developer sign a recorded declaration that has to be filed with the county clerk that says we are for the period of affordability, which I believe is 50 years, it may be longer. It has to be either rented or owned, depending upon what type of housing it is, in accordance with these units. And then right now, we just say, okay, find someone, and that can be a challenging experience. And so what we found is that sometimes developers are more focused on getting the market rate units rented, right? And so it's not as much of a priority to get the below market rate or affordable units rented. And so that's the frustration that we're having on the town's end. So I think that developers would, to a certain extent, I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's feasible to charge them for all of these costs in perpetuity, but at least some of the upfront costs of getting them leased in the first place could potentially be at least partially devoted to the developer. But I think this is an incredible asset. And because I was working with Valerie Menastra, the planner, and we were just spinning our wheels and banging our heads against the wall, trying to figure out a mechanism to get these units rented. And this seems like a really great solution.
And one of the best things about IFCA is they really understand our community, and our community knows and trusts IFCA. So, you know, when somebody comes to me and says, I need to understand what my affordable housing options are, what my options might be, and am I even eligible? Send them right to you.
That's
And,
that's what
and, you
people
know,
do.
and, you know, no, and then I trust that, you know, they will have gotten the proper information. Somebody won't be sending them on a wild goose chase, and, you know, being able to add to their stock. And know that the units in the unincorporated area are being rented to people who truly need it and, you know, are income verified and is good. I didn't realize you had kind of transitional housing. And I guess I'll talk to you later. Somebody just called me about somebody going through a divorce and they'll need some transitional housing. So I don't know how
It's
that
through
works.
DSS and they refer to us, so it's not like we
Okay.
build that list.
So it goes the other way.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Can I
good
just
to
ask
know.
one
it's-
question too, Jackie, do we prefer the town residents first?
It's
And
illegal.
that's
Legally,
the
we
reason.
cannot, but since we are in Ossining and we market in Ossining, there tends to be more Ossining people who come to us. But we can't specifically say it has to be Ossining. We have to market at least countywide, if not further.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's beneficial, and, you know, I have understood that some of our new housing has been having a hard time getting filled, and as Christy was saying, I think this is a win-win. I think it'll support IFCO a little bit, which is always a good thing, because they do so much good in our community. Little plug, no kidding. No, worthy cause, and so we'll look at the contracts, and I think you sent one to me.
I believe I did. If you need
Okay.
another one, I'll resend.
Okay, and we'll talk with the board. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the IFCA Trips volunteers at the store. I was there about a couple weeks ago and they were very kind and very helpful. So
Oh,
just give a shout out to them.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for that. I appreciate the feedback. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Oh, here's a fun one. Okay, so we are the victims of our own success. Our waterfront park has become very, very popular. And it has become known throughout the state, well, through many different areas of the surrounding city and counties that were awesome. So we're getting more and more people down there, and it's a little crowded, and not everybody understands our rules and regulations and how we operate. So I think we're going to need to take a look at having some oversight and some consistency for safety at the waterfront. So I was talking to Bill Garrison, who is the Village and Town of Ossining Recreation Department Superintendent. He is he on or is he not on? He's not able to be here. I don't know if he was able to join us on Zoom. Everybody has events tonight. I mean, obviously, we're doing it wrong. But so currently our picnic areas are rented, are able to be rented. We have 3 barbecue areas available, and they are available to be rented by anybody, first come, first serve, through our rec department for $75. We have found out that there are, and if it's not rented, then it's first come, first serve. We found out that people are coming down at 6 o'clock in the morning and setting up and, you know, trying to get that place, and they are not necessarily residents, and that there have been some altercations between people who are residents who did rent it and the people who came in, you know, at really early and to claim the spot. So, I mean, the police department's been able to, you know, explain it, but I think it would be good to have a park ranger or attendant in the area to facilitate the conversation that, okay, if you are more than 20 people, that this area needs to be rented. And also to talk about no alcohol being consumed and no open fires and no camping. We've had some people who would like to camp there, and it is a beautiful spot. And, you know, having somebody there who can point them over to Croton Point Park, which is, you know, one town away and does provide camping areas, would be, you know, really helpful. So we need to talk about that. And the other thing we need to talk about is our spray pad is also getting an awful lot of use. And so Bill's suggestions are here. I'm gonna read them. The picnic area, that rentals are required for weekend use. 50 people maximum per area. Sometimes there's even more. 75 resident for a resident and $100 for a non-resident. And if you did not reserve it in advance, there would be a $25 service fee if you rented it on site. For comparison, Dobbs Ferry charges $100 for 4 hours of rental and $250 to non-residents for that same 4 hours. And the county parks charge $200 for up to 75 people. So we are still the more affordable option in the area.
And just to be clear, the fee schedule already provides that it's $75 for residents. That's existing. It's just an increase of $25 from 75 to 100 for non-residents.
Thank you. For the spray pad, his recommendation is to charge admission on the weekends and holidays to the non-residents, free to residents with proof of residency or a rec membership card, and non-residents would pay $5 per person. Clarkstown, for example, does not allow any non-residents, and their admission is free with further people with their recreation card. And Rockland Lake charges $5 per person and a $8 parking fee. So again, we're a little bit less than those areas.
And
Go ahead.
I just want to also clarify, by resident, we're talking about anyone in the town.
In
So
the entire town, including
so also
Briarcliff
in the
and
incorporated villages.
both incorporated villages. And then the staffing requirements that he believes would be adequate are one spray park attendant from 12 to 7 PM, one park attendant that would be able to sell the picnic access and spray pad bracelets, credit cards only, from 10 AM to 6 PM, and a park ranger to educate and enforce park rules with visitors. And then contact the police when visitors are non-compliant from 12 PM to 9 PM. So those are Bill Garrison's recommendations. Okay, let's open it up for discussion. Hi.
Hi. So because it has become hotter and hotter and hotter every summer, and obviously the spray park is very popular, and we are going to have to institute, 3 additional employees. I really don't think the spray park should be open to non-residents. What we can do is maybe people that are renting, the people that are paying for picnic area rentals for the day, allow them to use the spray park, because obviously they're already paying for the picnic area rentals and it's right next door. I don't see a reason to open it up to non-residents. If it's if it's going to become so crowded for the residents, like, I don't see why we should open it to non-residents.
Just to go off that too, I'm sorry, Greg. I was gonna ask, is there an occupancy limit for the spray park that can be used at one time?
So we were talking about it. I was talking with Bill. We had somebody call up and ask if they could rent it for a group of 125 people. To which I said, there's no way we're putting 125 people. So apparently the camps will do 30 small children at a time. I believe the people asking were thinking of slightly older children. So that's another conversation. And that's another a part of the conversation, I'm sorry that I forgot to say, is we have in the past very rarely rented the spray park, but it is on our fee schedule for $75 for an hour, I believe. And
I think that was mostly, if I remember correctly, I think we had this discussion pre-COVID years ago. It was for camps like during the week.
it
or
was a
something
not,
like
yeah.
that. So yeah, I don't think it was something where on the weekends or
No, it
during
was
any sort
definitely
of
not a weekend.
time. Yeah.
But with the popularity, I don't know that we want to continue that practice. We do not open our spray pad on the weekdays until school is out. And boy, are we getting a lot of feedback and negative feedback about that. People want it open. The cost of water is a lot. We do not have a recirculating system and it costs up to $50,000 for the year without the extended hours. And we can revisit looking at a recirculating system, just talking with the Westchester County Department of Health today, but it's a very expensive and extensive undertaking that we've looked at in the past. And there are some challenges with the salt from the river and the electricity from the railroad tracks. So we have some logistical difficulties and reasons why we're not doing that.
Yeah, we're
So
not a
it's very
city.
expensive to operate.
Yeah, we're not a city. So
Right,
we don't
yeah.
have,
Okay.
That's why it's very
unending-
attractive. That's very
Yeah.
attractive. Not many around.
Right.
Well, that's my one concern about limiting access to people outside of the town. There are spray parks in Terrytown and Irvington that I brought my kids to. There's no residency requirement, so like when your kid, like my daughter goes to daycare in Sleepy Hollow, her friends, her playmates are from Sleepy Hollow or Terrytown. So we often meet at the Terrytown park or whatever, or if they'll come up here. So then to say like, oh, you can't meet up in Ossining now, there's no way for you to get into the spray park. That would be my concern.
I'm actually, as popular as we've become, I'm not a fan of completely restricting access to people from out of town, but I do believe that a fee, I'd like to start, I believe, with a fee and see if that limits the number of people coming and see if it helps regulate it. And we can always charge a little bit more of a fee, but I don't want to necessarily close our parks and the opportunity to other people who don't have the same access. But I do believe that it does cost our taxpayers quite a bit for us to operate the park. And if we're going to be having attendance, it's going to cost more for us. So I do believe it's warranted to have a fee for people that are not part of our tax base.
Yeah, I agree. And I do, in my opinion, I think we could charge more for the picnic area rentals for non-residents. I think only $25 more is not that much more based on what our residents are paying in taxes for the services for people outside.
Right.
I think we can go higher personally.
And the other thing with the picnic area rentals is I have asked for a before and after. They can take a before picture if they want, but a before and after picture that they cleaned it up, because we are spending 2 to 3 hours of overtime for our
Do we get a
for our
deposit?
Teamsters. We do get a deposit. It's a $75 deposit.
Okay.
But we're paying overtime to our Teamsters to clean the area and the entire park. It's not just the picnic areas, although that is a large portion of the garbage that they are, taking the time to clean. And it's daily. It's not even just weekends.
So are we keeping a deposit if they're not cleaning?
We
up?
are, I talked about that. I want them to, if they're going to get their deposit back, I would like a photo taken after they're done cleaning up.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people do come after they leave and it's not fair. So they should take a photo, everybody has a camera on their phone now at the time that they cleaned up that we can see, and then we can give them their deposit back, and no photo, no deposit in my mind. And I've had a conversation with the Parks Department about that.
Yeah, I like that.
Matt, do you have any thoughts?
I like what Bill Garrison proposed initially. I think it's good.
I like what Bill Garrison proposed initially. I think it's a good start. I don't have
the information that he has and the experience with the folks there. So it seems like a good place to start.
Okay. I agree. Are you?
I'm amenable.
So,
It's a great starting point. I just don't.
yeah, I mean, it's gonna have to be evolutionary. We've had some conversations with, Cortland is using park rangers and Croton. Apparently there was a sign up period, not now, that was earlier. And the park ranger, the county is willing to look and see what kind of hours of a park ranger we can have, that somebody who's trained and interacting and park rules and, instead of just hiring an attendant that may not have had the training, there are people who went through park ranger school who might be available at least for some of the time. And they feel that they have some that live in Ossining or Croton in fairly local areas that might be interested in our park.
What I would like to say is maybe we go forward with this plan and charge non-residents $5, but that we reassess. Either you reassess with Bill and say, how is it going? Is this look like a good plan? And if not, then we can come back together and discuss it again in the middle of the summer or after the summer, like. you
Yeah,
s-
it's gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Evolving.
I just don't want our residents locked out. That's why I would like to know, what would the optimum children could go on the spray park? Because if it's the same families and same people every week, because if you buy a bracelet, the way I'm reading it is, if you buy a bracelet, it's good for the whole day, right?
Yes.
Maybe a bracelet's only good for 2 hours, so you give a chance to the next group for another 2 hours. So something like that. I just want to know how many people can go. on
No,
and
during,
stuff like
during
that.
COVID, they were able to say, okay, they did it for 15-minute increments. Everybody plays for 15 minutes. Okay, and there was a line. Okay, you 15, you group come out, the next people online, and the kids just run back online.
So they're
or they
still-
go
It's almost
climb
like
on
an
the-
amusement park, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
They're
they,
still doing that?
no, we don't have an attendant in place. There was not an attendant at all last year. There's no attendant now, and I believe that we need an attendant.
I think Angelo has a good point, like in order to get everybody a chance and usage
Mhm.
to, with somebody there, reinstituting that.
This is a great starting thing. I think this is great. And then let's see how it goes and
Agree.
we'll
Right,
address
so,
it again.
and it was cute because the kids, I was watching them during that time, and the kids would run and climb on the playground equipment, and they'd go,
I wish I could go in there.
well, no
You
shoes.
can bring my kids there anytime. you want.
Okay.
Does
What,
anyone want to just revisit briefly Greg's suggestion about regarding the non-resident fee for the picnic areas? Whether a $25 increase is sufficient or if you want to make it higher?
I did have that conversation with Bill Garrison about maybe doubling it so that it would be 150 for the non-residents. And he said it's very difficult to walk up to somebody who came, walk up to a group of 20 people and say, hey, by the way, you got to give me, $150 right now. And he thinks it's a good starting point here, and I'm just going to defer to his
Understood.
thought process and revisit it. As Jen said, I told him that we could use that as a starting point. And if we're still having challenges, then we could revisit.
Do we record like where people are from when they sign up? Is there any?
Well,
data that we have?
so in investigating, it's really only people who that we have only traditionally been renting through the rec department. So it's really only been residents who understand how to rent it. And when people are told on the weekend that they have to go rent it, only the ones that are there Saturday morning, the rec department is closed, that desk is closed. But what he is telling me is we can have some sort of system where they can pay by credit card
Yeah.
if there's a park attendant to be able to take that payment. And that would be something that people could do, could be approached and say, hey, by the way, you have a very large group, using this barbecue, and there is a fee associated with that.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful to know what percentage of people are residents versus non-residents when we revisit it. Just, if our folks are getting locked out from it, then I think we need to increase. the
I-
non-resident price.
I'm sorry, I need clarification. So for non-residents, we're saying it's $100 to
Rent the barbecue
rent the
area.
barbecue area. But same day is only 25 or 25?
125.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, it's additional 25.
A
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
surcharge for
No,
not doing
that-
it through the rec department.
That makes sense. At first I was, the way we were discussing it, it was different. but Okay, yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
so really it's 125 then essentially
Right.
paying, because nobody from outside of Ossing is really gonna go through the rec
Not the
department.
first time,
Yeah. All right, that's fine.
but
No, I think I could be okay with that.
But that service day, same day goes for residents too. Right? Same
Yes.
day? Yeah, okay,
yes.
okay. Got it.
No, I mean, that's how he is.
I have a vision that it's
proposed
gonna
it.
be booked a week in advance, probably. or a couple-
Okay,
at least a couple days. That's what I'm
surprisingly, it's
seeing,
not
that's what-
booked this weekend.
No?
So,
It will be soon.
yeah, it probably will be.
Word gets out.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so yeah, it's true that the rental, they send me the rental and then it gets amended as it goes on.
Great starting point, and then we'll see how it
Okay.
goes.
Good starting point.
Yeah,
And
and
I know-
obviously, all of this goes out the window for Friday night concerts and things like that. Right?
Define out the window. There are still people barbecuing down there, still families down there. There always have been. Why
But
would
it's
that
only
be
for the
different?
picnic tables.
No, this isn't for the barbecue areas at the end of the park.
Oh,
By the
okay,
spray
okay.
park.
Okay, okay, sorry. Right,
Um,
and doesn't go out the window.
no, it doesn't go out the
Okay,
window.
got it.
But we might want to, one thing that I've been thinking about is having a picnic area, one barbecue grill, and I don't know, we have 3 picnic areas. If we rent out all 3, then other people are bringing their own grills again, and they have the hot coals around and they're dumping them. I'm wondering if we shouldn't have a barbecue that just stays communal. You have to share this. You may not like
Yeah.
put all your stuff around it and build your tent over it and
But
things
they-
like that. I'm kind of going back and forth with that. I mean, we've really got the barbecue areas laid out the way that they are. They were the 3 best spots for them. I don't know where another spot would be for a communal barbecue, or if we set one of the 3 aside. Any thoughts?
I'm actually, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the barbecue area of Louisville.
Okay.
However, I've been to Senasqua Park in Croton, and they do have, like standalone, what we used to call more like a hibachi, like,
Right.
it's like a grill this big, and you have to bring your own coals,
Mhm.
and you grill it there. Is that the type of grills that we have in Louisville? Yeah, okay.
They're big though.
Angeles. Oh, but they're big. Okay. Because in NASCAR, they're like this, but they're like a foot and a half, wide.
I'm just
So-
saying, maybe we can add a small one somewhere for
Yeah,
people to be able to, that didn't rent a big area, to still be able to barbecue.
yeah, yeah.
Should they not be one of the people who,
Yeah.
but that's not built yet, so that would be kind of an evolutionary
Yeah.
thing. But does that
I-
sound like something to explore?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
good. But I'd
great.
also suggest that we get the communication out a little earlier, because this is gonna take a little while to get into the works, maybe, right? To get-
Oh, no.
No, this is gonna be implemented
We'll
immediately.
see. How long did the park ranger?
Okay, so that's the other follow-up question. We need to kind of decide and let them know what days do we want them and what hours do we want them? Because the gentleman again said that we're behind we should have requested this back in February. So he said that whatever is available, he is going to be, letting us know, but we just have to decide what days and from what times. Do we want them in the morning? Do we want them in the evenings, and until what time?
Is that because this is civil service?
No, this is through the Westchester County Police.
Oh, okay.
So they basically, what they do is they gather applications, they go through the whole background checks, they go through training, but they estimate their amounts by the request that they get by the end of February. So everybody who's already requested, park rangers already has them. What they can do is, they could bring in some people that are park rangers in Austining, and since they live close by, they could just give them the couple of hours that we need them. He said, if we're looking for somebody full-time, he can't promise, he'll try his best, but he, everybody who requested a full-time is already exhausted that avenue. But like I said, we just kind of need to decide what days. He said, he could do every other day, or you could just do the morning, or just do the evening, or flip-flop. That way he can, pull some people from Austining or from Croton, or even, other areas that could, many people may want a couple of hours. And then I know that you wanted to discuss also about the liquor in the park areas. That's a
Right.
discussion.
Okay, I'm gonna start with the hours, and I think if at all possible, let's just shoot for what the recommendation is, which is 12 PM to 9 PM.
For the park
For
ranger.
the park ranger. And, starting with prioritizing the weekends.
I said prioritize the
Right,
weekends.
and Wednesday is not a priority because our camps are down there. So that area is closed anyway, so Wednesday is not a priority in my mind. We can, if we have a spray park attendant.
And it's just one park ranger then? We're just requesting for one or
Yeah, we,
I don't think
yeah,
we need
it's
more than
No.
one.
more than one? Okay, so one just for Lewis Angle Park then.
one for
Park
Lewis Single
ranger,
Park. Quite honestly, I think the friction on the weekends may occur a little bit earlier, but the liquor non-compliance would be happening later, so I would probably say, maybe 9 AM to 9 PM on the weekends would be appropriate.
That's the dawn, no? Was that?
Well, right now, that's, doesn't get dark till 10, doesn't, gets late at 6.
Would also Friday, since the concert series, we would also like a park ranger there that day, seeing as just gonna be already a lot of people down there.
Well, that would be the same, Friday, Saturday, Sunday would be, I think we have a bigger presence of local police department support during the concert series.
Yeah,
So I don't know that we need, if I had to give up a weekend day, I would give up the Friday because it's already pretty well policed.
Yeah, that's what I
by
was
the fact
thinking.
That we have, they're already,
so,
already
yeah,
committed to me that they're getting
Mhm.
extra parking enforcement. They've already committed to me that they're gonna have an extra person down there for the concert series
okay,
from the Ossining Police Department. So, Saturday and Sunday would be the,
alright, so when I send out the email, I'll let them know that, our lower priorities are Friday and Wednesday. That's the lowest days. We probably won't need someone, or no?
what do you think?
Because you said Wednesdays are the camps.
Yeah.
And then
I'm- yeah, but
Fridays, the
I'm-
police
I'm
officers are there.
second guessing myself because there's still a lot of picnicking and things going on at the.
I mean, we
area.
can request, like I said, we can request, we would prefer everybody to be there, but if we can't find anybody for Friday or Wednesday, we are okay with that as long as we have everybody else for the rest of the week. Like those are our low points.
Nah, I'm walking back on that. Friday is crazy. Friday is absolutely crazy down there. So, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are our priority.
So just-
Wednesday is our lowest priority.
Okay.
Also, are we giving them a time that they have to leave? Like, do they?
Sunset is about dark is when, the police do go through and ask
Okay.
people to leave.
Okay,
And about 15 minutes later, they're back.
okay,
But
Okay.
that's not something we're gonna be,
yeah,
that's something that us and OPD
yeah, yeah,
can work with. That's not something
Okay.
okay.
the park ranger. I think the park ranger really just needs to be there to direct people on,
They're peacekeepers. When I spoke to the sergeant, he said they're basically peacekeepers. Their presence, they let people know like the rules about what they're supposed to be doing. And, they basically notify the police department if somebody gets really like not compliant and doesn't want to listen, they'll reach out to the police department.
I'll have a marked unit car, vehicle. Yeah.
We didn't get that from the conversation. We didn't get that far. Yeah.
Can we request a Spanish speaker or is that?
I can put in that request. Yes, I definitely can put in that request. But again, it's just, he did let me know today, guys are gonna have to be flexible. But now we know for next year. So now we're good there.
Absolutely. All right, and we'll start with what we have and maybe our spray park attendant will be bilingual. And be
Yeah.
able to translate for.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
And the
You know,
park
so
layout
we
is very
can-
nice. I mean, it's fenced in pretty good, so there's pretty much only one entrance. I mean, unless you're swimming in, but only one entrance, so it could be controlled pretty good. So. Louis
Yeah, I
Angle
had
Park.
some people come by jet ski from the
Mhm.
city. That was
Yeah.
interesting and not good for the people that were bathing inappropriately.
In regards to the park attendant, that would be a person from the village rec department that we're gonna be bringing in, correct? It's not somebody employed through the town. How are we
I think
working around
that's a
that?
bigger conversation because in my mind,
At least for this year, because we did speak to Westchester County and we don't have the title position of park attendant. We would have to create one. And given how the county goes, we're probably looking at a month for them to
we're
get
not
back
playing-
to us for
we're not
this
playing
year.
that game with them again.
Couldn't we
Yeah.
make it seasonal anyway?
And, We're
Does that
trying to
make a
get a season.
difference?
They
Okay.
told us July for somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just unhelpful. But no, the park attendant would be through the rec department. They have those titles available.
Yeah.
And that's how it was done last time. For
Okay.
For the COVID, what both the spray pad attendant and the park attendant would be through the rec department, and we would reimburse the village.
Okay. So they wouldn't be employed through the town. Okay. So that's
It would not
perfectly
be
fine.
employed
Okay.
through
So
the
it just
town.
go through
It
to the
would
rec
be,
department.
part of our rec IMA, and that's
Okay.
already part of our rec IMA.
And I'm
Just wanted to
assuming
clarify that. Thank you.
Bless you.
Bill will take care of, like where this park attendant is gonna be stationed, how they're gonna, he'll deal with all that.
I think we might be okay with the spray pad attendant and a park ranger. I think that might be
Okay,
the staffing that we need. I hope would ask the board to let me explore the different options, and I'll get back to you on what, with Bill Garrison and possibly Mario. And get back to, and make a decision on, starting with the less staffing and working our way up to as we get further into the summer months. It's not as bad before school's out, and then it just explodes.
Would we have to change the fee schedule or adopt these fees at
We're
every
gonna-
next meeting?
We're gonna be talking about the fee schedule. Sue had some changes she wanted to make anyway.
Yeah. The board is free to change the fee schedule whenever they wish. Correct, Christy?
It just requires a resolution.
Yeah, it just requires a resolution. I know that Sue, and that's something Sue, because she's speaking about a whole overhaul for her department. Yeah, that's a whole thing. Yeah, with her, from what I've known from her when I was at her, because yeah, she has a lot of recommendations. She has a memo that she sent out back in December, which I'll verify with her. Just, keep in mind that her deputy clerk is out as of today. She's probably gonna have her baby either tonight or tomorrow. So we're very excited for her. But yeah, I believe she's gonna have to move that presentation to a later date. Now due to everything going on. So, but yes, if you guys
Alright.
would like to do this as soon as possible, before, the summers picks up, we could definitely put it on for resolution for next week.
Okay, so does everybody want to try a $5 per person for non-resident fee schedule to access the spray pad?
Starting point. I'm okay with the starting point.
we'll start, exactly.
Okay, so we'll start there.
We'll start
I'm
there.
an outlier, but that's okay.
What do you want to start with?
I don't really want to do a fee on the spray pad. I'm afraid that we're going to get into a tit for tat with other communities then. And again, I have not been to a spray pad anywhere else where there's been a charge for a kid at the gate, and that's my concern. So,
You also have to make sure you have someone, there needs to be an attendant.
Right.
So otherwise, there's going to be no way to enforce it.
Right. Well, that's,
It's a different issue than what Greg is raising, obviously.
I think we just start
Okay.
it and see if, we could revisit and rescind it, but I think maybe other communities might follow suit,
right, and
I think
that's
what
my
they're gonna start
concern.
doing.
I don't know, like,
all right.
do you carry, I don't know, also, how are we doing? Is it gonna be cash, credit card based?
Well, no, credit card only. Card payment only was a suggestion.
And the fees gotta be passed on, credit card fees gotta be passed on to the.
It would be a 3% surcharge, yes, with the credit cards.
Okay. Alternately, if you want to start with staffing it, the fee would have offset the staff, but if you want to start with staffing and see if that makes a difference in, having the oversight, and start with staffing for a month and see if that calms down the crowd, we can try that and then move into a fee.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only reason why we want to institute a fee is really just to offset our costs. It's not so much to
Profit on it.
yeah, we're not trying to pry on, we don't want to, slap anyone's wrists.
Yeah,
But I think that's the only reason for the fee, is to offset our costs. Everyone knows here, water is the cost of water is crazy. But if you want to start it with just the staff, and then if we see it's going crazy, let's revisit by the end of July, maybe, or mid-July. I don't know. Maybe we pick a date, let's revisit this by this date and see how it's going, and then say, okay, now we need a fee. We can do it incrementally if you want.
Yeah, and look, I can be fine with it, but my point of view is like the spray pad's gonna be running regardless, right? And I've never been to the spray pad. I've taken my kids there quite a bit where it's been like complete mob scene or anything like that. Whereas it sounds like the picnic areas do have that problem. And it sounds like most of those people are not residents of Ossining. And I'm just not sure what benefit we as a town of Ossining get to giving our picnic areas to people from out of town. And especially when other jurisdictions are charging much more for non-residents than what we would be charging. And again, and then on the flip side with the spray pad, other communities right now are not charging non-residents. And if we get into a tit for tat, that's probably a game that we as Ossining residents are not going to lose, because we've seen other jurisdictions charge our residents more. You know, there's very unwelcoming communities around here a lot of times, and they tend to want to charge more for people.
None of their community.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so
Let's go with
we'll
the attendant
start,
first.
I mean, it's a budget item, but we'll start with a spray pad attendant and a park ranger and evaluate it in a month from whenever it's enacted.
So there would be, so it would be one,
Whenever the heck we get a park ranger and attendant in there,
okay,
1
so,
month later, we'll reevaluate. it.
okay, so it'd be one spray pad attendant and one park ranger, then no park attendant. Because he
I
recommended.
will
three.
have a conversation with Bill Garrison
Okay.
and understand his reasoning for wanting both.
Okay, just wanted to
And then, but if possible, that's the way I would like to start. If he feels very strongly and has specific reasons, then I will bring that back to the board. Cool. Thank you. Okay. All right, and then, oh, I had another point.
Feel better, man.
No,
Oh, yeah.
I had another point on this one. I'll come back eventually.
Can you refresh my memory on the rules of the other parks about liquor? Alcohol?
This was just something that the supervisor had brought up about how we do like the liquor permits and stuff. And I know you were talking about
Right,
problems that have been arising due to the liquor in the parks
right.
that we wanted to just bring up and discuss and see how we're gonna go forward.
Right, so there is no open container, there is no alcohol in our parks. Except for special events that have gotten permits and through the liquor authority, through the state liquor authority. So our concert series has a right to sell liquor. The Sing Sing Kill Brewery has a little corral and they have a liquor license to sell during that event, during the Green Ossining. Everybody gets their liquor license and is able to sell. So our options in talking with the Ossining Police Department are to have it allowed during events. I'm a little unclear on if it's, can people still bring their own? So being sold by somebody at the event is also different than having somebody bring their own bottle of wine or such. But events are scheduled, sponsored events are different than, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Christy, than, you know, general day-to-day, the park does not allow alcohol in the park. So part of the challenges we've been having is with, as people, they're leaving cases and cases of beer bottles around, and the challenges get more, the music goes up, the tempers get hotter as the alcohol is consumed and later into the evenings on the weekends, which again, the park ranger will be able to talk about, but I asked the Austin Police Department to enforce the open container laws that are on the books. And we need to talk about during our events, if we're going to allow people to bring, and what does that look like? During,
How are you gonna, I'm sorry,
No, you go.
how are you gonna distinguish between
who,
people?
yeah, exactly.
that
Well,
are
and
bringing
so I
their
guess it
own
would be
alcohol.
park-wide. And that's a conversation with the police department. So realistically, we may not be, you know, able to have people bring their own. It would only be bought from the vendor at the series, and that's it. And that might be the way to go. And I think we should have that conversation before the concert series starts and people are used to bringing down whatever.
Are there specific identifiable cups that are used? Like, does everyone just use a red Solo cup or like a clear cup? You know, I'm just saying like, you know,
Sing
people
Kill has
probably
their
do
logo
generally
on their
try to
cup.
conceal it,
Yeah, they have their logo on their cup. And at
but
the,
they're often very, like, they usually have 2 or 3, if I recall correctly, from the contracts. They bring in other vendors. So,
Right.
so are they all very distinguishable? So that some, you know, the park ranger or whoever it is can say, you bought this from someone else, or you brought this from Sing Sing Kill Brewery. Also, you buy one drink from Sing Sing Kill Brewery, and then you go into your cooler and you start refilling it with, you know, I mean,
And that's-
Don't give all the
yeah.
secrets. Don't give all the secrets.
yeah, well, why are you telling people?
but I'm
Um,
just saying that, how do you enforce that? How do you administer that?
I think there should be an exception for events that size. There's too many people that come to the concert series. I mean, I don't know. I just, I just don't see.
I mean, there are groups that come down every night for the sunset and, you know, bring a bottle of wine, you know, couples that come with there's a lot going on and you cannot limit, you know, beer and not wine. You can't limit, you know, one kind of alcohol and not. You really have to either understand that, you know, it's be sold. And to Christie's point, the liquor authority during green auctioning absolutely required each vendor to identify exactly which cup they were using on their application,
Okay.
I mean, I was gonna say,
which was annoying.
if there's no alcohol in the parks in general.
Right, that is a
Right.
law in the community.
Right, okay. So what I think we have to do, just to go back to the people that may be problematic, is when they sign the contracts of rental use, they have to, it should say on there, and I agree not to bring any alcohol to the park while I'm renting this picnic area.
So
Yeah, that'll completely
yeah.
solve the overcrowding.
So we have gotten some requests to allow liquor to be used at the parks. I think we got our first request, so that's something that we needed to discuss and how we wanted to move forward with that.
Right,
Okay, but
Yeah.
we're
so
talk- we're
at
talking
somebody
about
who's, no, somebody who's renting the park for a birthday party, you know, for a family reunion,
Right.
has asked, can they go get a liquor license or can they have permission to consume alcohol during their event?
I see.
Which is
Yeah.
contemplated by the code.
Yeah.
The town board has authorized for special events in the park for people to consume. to
Right.
have
Oh, so that's
alcoholic
also
beverages.
considered a special event when someone's
Well,
having.
I think we kind of diverged from what we were originally discussing, which was basically the concert series, right?
Okay.
And whether or not it's feasible to distinguish between people consuming alcohol that's being provided by the vendors versus alcohol that's being brought in from the outside. And then we kind of went off into
Or can we
general.
classify that as an event that people, I mean, I'm trying to understand what the different options are and what the board can. And I'm not even actually clear. I know the village has no alcohol in their parks. I'm not necessarily clear that we have that same code.
You do,
Okay. I wasn't-
except for if it's an event. I mean,
I've been following that.
it's a town-sponsored summer
town-sponsored-
concert series.
exactly.
You know, so obviously you have vendors that are going to be distributing alcohol as authorized by their liquor license.
Exactly. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, you know, the people with the picnic basket and the
But
bottle of
the
wine.
code does also contemplate that, I mean, the general rule is alcohol is not permitted except with written permission of the town board. And this board has various times over the years considered and approved resolutions for events. Fire department might have done it multiple times, you know.
Ryder Park. and
Yeah.
Right.
We've done special event permits, right? That included that.
Right.
Right.
So do we consider the concert series an evening where people can bring their own?
Past practice for less successful.
Okay, but that would be, park wide. It's not good, I guess. It would
Yeah,
it be
you
for
can't-
people sitting in one area or
No, it has
can
to be
people throughout the
park-wide.
park, which is
It
not
has
that
to be
big?
park-wide. It's that we're getting.
Right.
we're
Well, that's
getting-
what I'm saying. I don't want to
Yeah,
enforce over here and not enforce
Yeah,
over there.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
need to have this conversation to
Yeah, yeah.
understand
yeah,
the direction that we're giving
yeah.
the Ossining Police Department, the park ranger, or whoever else,
Yeah.
and what is legal and we can pick.
What
on
is
Chrissy for that.
enforceable?
Was it, nothing's enforceable.
But that's, you know, but that's the whole point. If you
Right.
can't enforce it, then what's the subject of the conversation?
And when you apply for
I
a liquor
mean-
license, you have to show a diagram where you're gonna be,
Yeah.
it's gonna supposed to be fenced in.
Yeah, I mean,
Orange tape, orange fence.
I have asked that the open container law be enforced more frequently because of the amount of garbage and alcohol being consumed throughout the park and leaving us with a huge bill to clean up every morning.
I'm under the impression we're only talking about special events. Like, I mean, I feel like we keep bouncing back and forth.
Okay.
I'm trying to
That's-
focus on
Well,
what
I'm
the
trying to
issue is.
understand. Okay. I'm trying to understand the difference between everyday and special event. So when we're having a concert series, I mean, I'm willing to say, okay, that's the day that you can, within reason, no public drunkenness, but that's a whole different law. Enjoy a cocktail at the riverfront for the sunset and the concert. I'm just wondering what that looks like for the rest of the park. Is the rest of the park included in that? Is it only the area of the concert? Is it?
But you can
No,
make it
you-
two
you
separate
have-
locations.
You have to make it.
You
the
have to
whole-
make it the whole park. We're getting into minutia of, definitely in enforcement
That's
wise,
right.
it'll make everyone crazy.
Right.
I say on a Friday night, when there is a
A
concert
town
happening,
concert sponsors
the
concert
entirety
series.
of the park, you're allowed to consume alcohol. But now we need to discuss Saturday to Thursday, what do we want, the park to look like? Because also if Christie's saying a special event includes someone renting space for a birthday party, right? That's also an exception. So I think we have to delineate what all the exceptions are.
And do we have to specifically mention each birthday party and each family reunion as its own special? Do we have to vote on each or?
I mean, in my recollection, this really doesn't happen all that frequently. I don't,
What
maybe
doesn't happen all that frequently?
like these special events where someone's asking to consume alcohol. I don't recall us approving resolutions because according to the code, alcohol is only permitted in the park by town board resolution. And I don't recall this ever happening. So if we start seeing that, hey, I'm gonna have a birthday party, I'm making an application to use this area, and I want to be able to consume alcohol, if that becomes a weekly
That-
event,
Oh, that's
then
what
we have to
got.
revisit this. But I don't have like a baseline to consider it on.
So it sounds like the non-concert issue is more of one of enforcement or lack thereof, if it's illegal, right? It's just not being enforced at this point,
Right.
essentially.
Be-
And-
Because
and
the
we-
town board is supposed to be approving any use of alcohol, right? So if they're
Right.
not, then it
Well,
can be
what
enforced.
what
So
we're
if,
saying is somebody did apply for an alcohol. to
okay,
use.
so that's one person.
Okay,
But then we just need to inform the police department so that or the park ranger, whoever's there, so that they know and they leave them alone. If the town board approves it.
and presumably they would go apply for their own liquor permit or.
But yeah, so would they
have to
not,
go
yeah,
apply For a permit,
like a special liquor permit
I
event?
think it's based upon how many people they have.
So I mean, for this
I mean,
specific person, yeah.
I'm not going to be able to answer
no.
your question right now, but just I would need to look it up.
I think we all understand what we're talking about, but I mean, let's see how it goes this next month and see if this becomes another issue with, we have an applicant in front of us now, right? You said? Only one, right?
Yeah, only one person, and they're looking at probably September on renting it, yeah.
In the summer. But I think to Liz's point, Liz is saying, what she's concerned about is that there's alcohol consumption at the park on a daily basis that is not related to a special event, a birthday or whatever. So how are we going to enforce that?
Well, I guess, do we want to enforce it? I guess is the question. Right now, it's not being enforced.
It has not traditionally been
But
enforced, and my thought is, yes, it needs to be enforced because most of the challenges are associated with the alcohol consumption.
Yeah. I agree. And the deposit for cleaning up is a new thing.
No, it's been there, but apparently,
I mean, has that been,
when I tried to delve into it, it's often the area that wasn't rented that's the worst. So, you know, we can require these barbecue areas be rented or not used at all, as somebody was saying, can you put, you know, something over it, you know? The chief was suggesting that before the meeting started. You know, can we lock it completely and only open the barbecue to people who have paid the rental and given a fee?
At least they'll discourage them in the beginning, and if they go and break the lock and use it, well, then there's a
Right,
cause
something
for
like that.
discussion with
yeah.
the person.
Okay, so that's a whole different, you know,
Yeah,
so
that's a whole nother-
there's so many different pieces of getting this park under control.
Seems like there's three, right? There's the summer concert series. There's other applied for and authorized special events, and then there's every other
Day
time.
use every other time.
Right.
So it doesn't seem like that many.
No, I meant, you know, that the other discussion is, do we lock the barbecue areas and only let it be rentals?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Which I don't think we should take apart today. Let's just
'Cause I don't know how
start
many
with the
issues there
park
have been
ranger.
that has a park representative showed up and found somebody using the barbecue and they're not supposed to be there. Has that happened? I haven't heard anything. Have you, your office? Of people
Yeah,
just-
no, it's, people are allowed to use them when they're not rented.
All right.
So people go use them all the time, and, you know, they say, I'm not 20, it's, you know, my brother's family's 10 and my family's 10.
Gotcha.
And then, you know, so that, you know, and our Parks Department has enough on their plate. They're not in enforcement. They're not there to maintain the park. They're not there to manage the crowd. So we have not had somebody having the conversations. So let's start with having the conversations and enforcing the open container law.
Plus, we're gonna have the
Um,
park.
when there
ranger,
are no
the-
events,
the
when there are
rangers.
no events,
Yep.
and start there.
Works for me. Works for me.
Hopefully the ranger.
Start paying more attention to down there.
I believe the ranger
You're down there
explaining the
looking.
rules will make a huge difference.
Good.
I think
that.
that'll make it, and I just want to maintain it
your
as a
concern.
family atmosphere.
Yep,
Yeah,
we understand
yeah.
your concern.
Okay, well, that was fun. I think we got a lot done though.
These are important quality of life issues.
They are.
So, yeah.
And apparently, the last one is moving the town of Austin to a .gov as opposed to a .com. Apparently, the village is moving to a .gov. The county is moving to a .gov. The reasoning they're giving is that a .gov registration is difficult to get, and there's a process to register. You have to be a municipality or a government agency to get it. And then when the village or the county is communicating with somebody, they want them to feel confident that it's not a scam or a spam. It's the actual government agency, and they feel that a person would be more secure if it was a .gov. The village is moving to a .gov, and we got sent some paperwork to change us to a .gov. We had not had that conversation. I think we just barely mentioned it to each other. But I believe the village wants to move to, and our IT department would like everybody to move to a .gov from
.org now? Or .com?
or .com, they're .org. So everybody should move to .gov. And talking with Christina, she said that our emails would still go through, so all the emails that are out there in the world would still roll over and Christy had some good questions and concerns, which I will hear from you momentarily, I'm sure. And there's a lot of logistics and challenges with shifting. I think the village is going to, or they're not the village, but the IT people that they use are going to be asking us to make this change. And Christy had some really good questions and concerns about it. So do you have them with you?
No, I was just talking to you. I didn't write them
I'm
down.
sorry. I can remember some.
So I guess the first issue is that my understanding from our discussion last week is that you can just request that townofaustining.gov be designated to the town of Austining, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you immediately need to jump into the entire overhaul. Is
Right,
that
so
correct?
looking at the paperwork, I can ask that the name townofaustining.gov be reserved for us. That's what that domain be for the town of Austining only. So the paperwork that I was looking at, that's the first step. That it's, it will not be given to anybody else but us.
So I guess from, my questions aren't technically legal, they're more monetary and administrative, like, what does it actually entail to do this? If all of the townofaustining.com users are going to continue to get their emails, that means that you're going to have 2 email addresses for every user, right? You're going to have the townofaustining.gov and you're going to have townofaustining.com. In my experience, and this may not be the case, you pay per user. And so if you have double the amount of email addresses, that could increase or potentially double. And again, I don't know, because these were all questions that I'm just curious to know the answers to. Theoretically, it could potentially double the cost. How long does that remain in effect? What does it look like for having every person and every computer have all of their networks and everything switched over from .com to .gov? Would it make more sense for the IT department that we share with the village to roll this out through the village that's already further ahead of us in the process? Maybe we move forward with just getting the .gov reserved and wait until the village is done, so that we don't have our IT department trying to do all of this at once. Like, these are all logistical, monetary, administrative questions that I think it would be helpful to have answers to. Not strictly legal, but
Have you seen the contract yet?
no.
No.
I think we should see the contract
Yeah.
first.
Well,
Oh, yeah, literally Christina sent over, our IT sent over, here, fill this out. I'm like, Christy. So, just to get some feedback, I do believe that, just reserving it, the domain would be a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Just as a step, I don't know that anybody else is really gonna ask for it, but.
You never know.
But they really do need you to prove, and, in the paperwork was, why do you want this? And what are you going to use it for?
There might be a time period that you have to use the .gov after you sign up for it.
So-
we have to see all that.
So is the board open to exploring the idea of that we're probably gonna get asked to?
All in for exploring
And are you okay with me reserving the domain name
after we see what the price and the time limit to sign in and all that. Yeah, just a little more details.
for the domain?
Yeah, just any more.
I don't know that there's a charge for it.
All right, let's see what.
Well,
let's see.
I think what Angelo is saying is, after we reserve it, do we have to roll it out? Do we have to be utilizing it
Okay.
within a certain period of time?
Yes,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, and if there's
Okay.
a fee, if it's free, go ahead, you can sign up tomorrow. but if it's,
My understanding,
time-
my understanding from Liz is that there's no charge for
It did not look like there was a charge.
Okay,
I
so
will
let's re-examine it.
re-examine it.
yeah, and the county just did their big change over from being .com. I'm sorry, I think .org to being .gov. And I think what they were saying is that their emails are just no longer being sent. It's just, you have to put in the .gov, but they had like this massive email every single time you send them an email, and their old email be like, please be aware that by June 1st, we will not be responding. You have to add the .gov. And every single time I spoke to anyone from the county in the past couple weeks, they've been, please make sure that your email's been changed over to .gov. So if we're thinking about, doing the switch in email wise, we could start that campaign as well to just let people know and change all the website and everything. Yeah.
Maybe we can ask the county what challenges they've run into, where their pitfalls are.
Yeah.
Give them a little time to have some.
Yeah, because
problems with it, Let the village have some problems with it and just kind of learn from.
Some experience I've had that some of the old .org, we're in .org or .com.
We're
So
.com.
They
.com.
might give you the option to forward those emails.
Yeah,
So
forward
that's
over
what
to
she
the-
was
yeah,
saying,
that's
period,
saying, yeah.
While we get everything straight,
And
while we
that's
get
what
everything
Christy's
changed
saying, but then you're paying for 2 accounts.
If
And
if
forward.
we are
Hopefully
paying,
not.
I don't
If we're
know.
paying,
I
yeah.
don't know what the town's arrangement is for their email addresses. It's just
I think
something
it's
emails
that,
on
wrapped up
the-
into our IT.
Yeah, I think
so
it's
we'll
just
have to
wrapped up, but I think you
dissect
do
that.
pay for user, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think you do you for user because we moved over to that new iCloud and everything server.
Okay.
From my
So we
understanding,
have an-
my basic understanding of IT.
Per
I think I
personnel,
heard,
okay.
yes, we need to speak. Yeah, again, Christina would be answered to answer those questions
Yes,
better.
so-
so then we also have to keep in mind, we're not only dealing with full-time employees, we're dealing with volunteers.
Boards.
And board, yeah, and getting them to, I don't know who arranges this automatic response, are they expected to do that themselves? Like, how does this all get administered?
Yeah. I think that definitely we need to reach out to the IT, but from my recollection, I think they're the ones that are in charge of doing all those things too, because that's how I've got my email updated. It's just through Christine and IT.
All
Mhm.
past emails have to be saved, right? They have to be put away.
Oh, yeah.
archived.
Records
Yeah,
retention. I mean,
records
they can't be deleted. That they just won't be receiving new emails
Mhm.
anymore.
Good for exploring.
All right, well, I know you'd like to keep going on in. But motion to adjourn to executive session for advice of counsel, contracts and personnel.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us for our conversations. Feel free to reach out if you have comments of your own. And I hope you have a good evening and a good week. Thank you.